to the trad position. I'm empathetic to the sede position. It's just scary stuff. But let's get into orthodoxy, because orthodoxy is a total shit show. Because the answer is not there, I'll tell you that. So all right, so this is Father Emmanuel Lemelson. I have no idea who he is.
That's because he's Orthodox.
Yeah. The theater of digital orthodoxy, how convert apologist media commodifies an imperial old world aesthetic while eclipsing the organic liturgical reality of the local church.
Which one is this?
You got to go right to his Substack.
I know, but which article on it?
It's called The Theater of Digital Orthodoxy.
Okay, I see it now.
So the digital public square has birthed a distinct paradox, the theatrical commodification of an old world faith for Western algorithms, where the ancient mysteries of eternity are quietly adapted into curated screen aesthetic. A telling moment occurred on a recent widely viewed episode of the Girls Gone Bible podcast. The non-denominational host showered their guest, a Southern California-born convert priest, with praise for the traditional masculinity of the Greek Orthodox Church. Canonically, his jurisdiction, the Patriarchate of Antioch, is part of the historic Rum Orthodox family. So he's not even Greek Orthodox, but like these people say Greek Orthodox as if like that's just some umbrella term, but they're not. Like he's part of some very specific Rum Orthodox family, meaning he was technically within his rights to accept the broader heritage, yet the speaker's choice to remain completely silent and leave this specific label uncorrected exposes the core opportunism of the digital format. Correcting his host would require introducing complex canonical realities that disrupt the smooth, emotive flow of a highly optimized online talk show. Instead, he allows the consumer-friendly brand of Greek Orthodoxy to stand unchallenged, willingly absorbing its cultural cachet to validate his authority before an outside audience.
Now, to be fair, if you would try to explain something like that to women on a Girls Gone Bible podcast, their heads would have literally exploded.
But him explaining it is important, right? Like this guy explaining it is important, yes, like because we can fall prey to, you know, you see these clips of Orthodox debates against Catholics, and it's like there's no one Orthodox church.
No,
it is so like you want to talk about ecclesiastical issues and like, you know, their view on ecclesiology being psychotic. Like this is where you got to go. This interaction exposes the contradiction of an American convert movement that has spent decades fiercely critiquing historic immigrant parishes, routinely lamenting what they view as excessive ethnic and linguistic isolation within localized jurisdictions. The explicit institutional goal of this movement has been to construct a streamlined, thoroughly Americanized church. Yet on the media set, this anti-ethnic ideology undergoes a striking operational inversion. The digital platform is instead leveraged to project an intensified, exoticized old world persona, complete with a highly stylized, affected foreign accent and strict public visual. Like I don't know, for people that don't really, that accent is totally made up bullshit. Like he makes up a fake accent to sound like he's foreign. I love my holy Orthodox.
Because
I love my holy Orthodoxy.
In the paragraph above,
it says, you're from Southern California. You should be saying dude.
Yeah, he's
he should talk like Tim Gordon, asshole.
Plus, the Orthodox priests, they generally speaking don't wear, you know, any sort of vestment in public because what? Because they have day jobs. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Yet on the media set, this anti-ethnic ideology undergoes a striking operational inversion. All right, we read all that. Okay, so complete with a highly stylized, affected foreign accent. What?
Someone goes, Ocean wants to know if you make up your New York accent. I'll tell you guys a secret. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
You mean Ant in person, you can't hardly understand him because of his damn accent.
I don't think you guys, I tone it down and like go out of my way to pronounce my R's so much so that people don't take my accent shockingly, which is like, you'll hear me like if I'm just talking fast, it'll come out a lot, but whatever. So complete with a highly stylized, affected foreign accent and the strict public visual maximalism of traditional black cassock, long beard, and heavy pectoral cross. The historic prestige of an ancestral lineage is harvested as a marketing asset to capture Western algorithms, even as the platform's internal rhetoric actively works to decouple the domestic flock from the very cultural realities that kept those sacred symbols alive. It's just the whole thing. It's like they're sedevacantists. Ortho bros are sedevacantists. That's what they are.
Which, I mean, want many of the converts, like Jay Dyer, was a sedevacantist.
Yeah. So like they just don't look, and I'll grant them that the modern church is a mess, right? So we're in this conundrum where the modern church post-council is a mess, and even the Catholic apologists trying to defend Catholicism are defending a Catholicism no longer taught. So it's like I'm even empathetic to the people who go to Orthodoxy because they see the problems in the Western church and they're like, man, what the hell is this? But the thing that keeps me in the Western church is this historical view of seeing the church as this continuous society and this continuous entity that was the teacher of all mankind, was the teacher of nations, was the church that had the mission to go and baptize all nations. It is the kingdom of heaven come to earth, and now it has been infiltrated, and you have, I mean, I every single thing that we go through puts me more and more into the Tychonius lens of this, where it's just the body of the devil is inside the body of Christ, and the body of the devil is growing more and more powerful within it. But inside that body, you still have the faithful, and it is still the only path to salvation. It is still the ark of salvation. We're just outnumbered. We're just outnumbered. And there's going to be a way where God corrects it. We just have to be Catholic and live out our faith and pass our inheritance on to our offspring and try to talk to people about it as much as we can and build something that lasts beyond this catastrophe that's coming. Because there's a catastrophe coming to society. There's a catastrophe coming to the church. We don't know when, but it's coming. You can feel it's coming. You see the way everything is just falling apart, right? Like I was listening to, you watch that lawyer that's been, he got pretty big during the Carmelo Anthony case, that Bronca something. I forget his name.
I see his tweets. I don't watch them.
So he was talking about even when you are trying to have a trial where a person is judged by a jury of his peers, right? Now, in Minnesota, let's say you want to try somebody for fraud in Minnesota, and he gets judged by a jury of his peers. If you get one Somalian on that jury, you're not getting a fair trial,
unless it's a white person being charged with fraud,
right? But if you have a Somalian being convicted of fraud, and there's one Somalian on that jury, you no longer have a system, no matter what. No longer have a system of law in place, right? Because you're going to get a hung jury every time if you just get one person in there. It's the same thing with Carmelo Anthony. If there was one black person on that jury, that kid was getting a hung jury. It's just the reality of it. People are so tribal now. It's no longer an integration of our nation where, even before, when you had immigrants coming in, you had European immigrants coming in who had the same religion. Essentially, they were Christians. They were coming in, but even they kind of changed the dynamic of the country and the makeup of the country. They started in ghettos, and then the freaking it's kind of hard because, like, part of me is like, should we integrate these people into the wider society, or should we let them live in their little ghettos because I don't want them infecting larger society?
That's hard because on one hand, like
we'll integrate all this stuff in eventually.
What?
Well, you can take that off screen. I'm saying, like, we'll bring it back to that eventually or something.
I mean, living here in Minnesota, for instance, like there are, whole neighborhoods now that are more or less no-go zones.
Somali,
right? Riverside and Minneapolis because of the Somalis. So on one hand, it sucks because you've lost.
Internet.
What?
My internet froze. What'd you say?
you've lost whole neighborhoods that have, history and had a culture previously, but like you said, you don't want them necessarily to move out of that neighborhood.
Yeah, it's like keep them in that ghetto. At least they're not, because what happens if you disperse them throughout the country? Now that's, I mean, it's scary stuff, man. Like that was like forced integration when they got rid of segregation, right? Like,
But yeah, the whole Great Migration that happened in the 60s, from the South to all the northern cities, it changed those cities drastically. And Martyr Maid has a really good series
yeah,
on the Great Migration and just how much things changed in cities like Chicago and in New York and just all the northern and west coast cities that received these huge migrations of blacks from the South.
Rob, I have watched in just the course of my 20 years of work in construction, I have watched entire Italian neighborhoods just completely disintegrated. And used to be like you if you went to Bensonhurst, it used to be all beautiful Italian restaurants and all Italian. It was, dude, it's all freaking Africans now.
Yeah.
They just shipped them in. They freaking moved them all over there, and it pushed all those Italian neighborhoods out to the suburbs. And then you used to be able to like, oh, I'm going to put my kid in a good school district. That's code for white. like
Yeah.
when you're talking to Long Island, you're like, oh, I want to make sure I'm in a good school district. That's code for a white school.
Yeah.
They even have those mixed in now. So now, like the majority of people that send their kids to public school, like your daughter is going to go and meet some Puerto Rican kid or some Dominican kid or something. Like that's just what's going to happen. And then you're going to have to freaking deal with that.
Yeah. Like the city I grew up in, the suburb, just a suburb of St. Paul, Minnesota. It wasn't even an outer ring suburb. It was an inner ring suburb that had streetcars connected to St. Paul even. But, it was a city that even when I was young, there were maybe 10 common last names, throughout the whole city of 20,000 people. They were, we had a Croatian hall, which was everyone rented about for events. There was the Polish National Alliance bar, which is in the basement of a house. You had, so you had these small European ethnic conclaves, that made up my hometown. And now it's, now the city, the school decided to do open enrollment where you no longer had to live in the school district.
Oh, that's
to school there. So now you were, you were even started after I graduated, but people are, they're busing in kids from in the inner city into the school and the school district. And now the school is
all it does is degrade the school,
and
the quality of education that was in that school. So
now shootings are common in the city, and it's
to bring this back to orthodoxy, to try to package this thing nicely. Like orthodoxy in America for forever was these European Christians, or not even European. It was like Greeks coming to America,
or people from the Balkans.
But it'd be like a Russian
Serbs.
Ghetto, and people would form a community, and then they would have their Orthodox parish, right? And it would just be made up of that ethnic makeup because they came here. And then there was never like this outreach mission to convert anybody into those churches. It was really just made up in that area for the local community. And you would have your Greek Orthodox parish in Astoria, Queens, or you'd have your Russian Orthodox parish over in Glendale, and that would be what it was. But now with this online digital missionary work that Jay Dyer is doing, Father Stephen DeYoung, Jonathan Peugeot, all of them, you're getting people inquiring about orthodoxy, and what you wind up getting is somebody named Alex Gerardo going to an Orthodox parish who has a Catholic Western upbringing, trying to bring Mexican customs into a Greek Orthodox ethnic parish, and it's disrupting things. Like it's making people lose their identity, their cultural identity. So it's like it's not it's not the same as if the Orthodox Church herself sent out a mission to somewhere and kind of brought the Orthodox culture to a place. It's this weird thing where it's 90% Protestant converts.
Yeah.
And they're going to deal with a very similar thing to what the Catholics dealt with. Like our church is so heavily influenced by Protestant converts now. Like this whole thing of this, like all of the online apologetics are Protestant focused apologetics, and everything's about winning Protestants to Catholicism. And it's just a weird like culture that has been brought into the Catholic Church. It's a very odd, like we've talked about, like the testimony culture, and it's brought in this idea of faith alone plus the sacraments, and not living an integrated Catholic life. Like it's a very, it's a very different thing where we talked about it also when we were talking about like almost all of the conversions now are intellectual conversions.
This is especially true in the trad movement.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think it's something that could definitely be dangerous, especially within the trad movement, because there is a very Protestant ethic to this idea that they just have to read all the traditional documents and encyclicals, and they can be the one to figure out what is real Catholicism. Yeah. And I mean, as we both said, like there obviously the church is in crisis, and the church isn't teaching everything the way they should be. But in a sense, like you just became Catholic, bro.
Man.
Just live your life as a Catholic for a few years before you come in,
you become Catholic. And within 2 years, you become a sedevacantist, and then you try pulling Catholics to your new Reformation, and you're trying to pull them into sedevacantism. Like, those people really need to shut the F up, man.
Yeah,
like if you're a Protestant convert to sedevacantism, shut your face. Seriously. Like, I don't know what the hell you're doing. You went from one Protestant sect to another. Like that freaking Tommy went from a Mormon cult to come into sedevacantism, and he's bringing his Mormon cult-like activities into the sedevacantist movement, and it's psychotic. It's like, I just want to live in an integrated Catholic parish, and I just want to be Catholic. Like, that's it. Like, I don't know, man. This whole like resist the Pope thing, and I think it's just so heavily influenced by that Protestant mentality. Even though, like, you have two different kinds of Protestants: the ones who come in and they're just like, the Pope, everything he says is gospel, and that's it. It's law. And the other ones who come in and they're like, well, we're just going to have our own Reformation in the church now. And there's nobody just coming in and just being like, I'm just going to be Catholic, man. Like,
yes, we should resist the bad things that are happening in the church, but you do that internally and in your family and in
your parish level.
Right. You don't do, who the hell are you to think you have some right to speak out and
like the arrogance of it, right?
Yeah, it is so arrogant.
Like, I'm going to correct this.
It is so infuriating. That arrogance is so infuriating.
Oh man, we all need to learn a little humility.
Yes,
we all need to learn a little humility, man. He does get into